Hey guys, I'm Pat Kelly. Okay, in this problem, looks like there's a lot going on, but it just starts with this function they've given us. They've asked us to graph it, and then based on the graph, we're going to determine the intervals for which f of x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so I've really just got us started here in terms of the graph. If I'm going to graph this guy, we're going to learn some things in another lesson or two real soon to make this easier. But for now, I'm going to go to the old reliable XY table. Okay, so I've already picked my x values, and you know this. You can pick any x values you want. Our graphs should look the same here. So I'll put in my x values and find the y values just with the good old plug and chug. All right, that looks like 8. Also 8. This looks like a 5. That looks like a 0. 0. And at this point, I'm down to a -7, right? 9 take away 16. That looks good. So those are my ordered pairs. Let's go to our Cartesian plane and plot those. 0, 9 is right about there. A -1, 8 looks like it'll be about there for me. +1, 8. -2, 5. There. 3, 0. -3, 0. And then that 4, -7 is actually going to be down here a ways for me, so maybe even off the chart. But you know the deal, you know the game you're playing with the XY table is you pick as many points as you want until you start to see a pattern. And I think my pattern here looks like somewhat here, connect the dots, and then back down, right? All right. Pretty good, I think. That's my graph. All right. First part of the problem, graph the function, done. Now the real part of the problem is what they're asking us to do. Based on our graph, we're supposed to determine the intervals for which f of x is greater than or equal to 0. And as we're learning about functions, this is the key. You always want to remember this. We've been learning about y as a function of x, and this new notation, f of x, is just y. Always remember that. So this question is really just asking us, where is y greater than or equal to 0? See? So I go to my graph to see. I'm looking at my graph, and where on this graph are the y values greater than or equal to 0? So that's this whole part of my drawing, right? So I have to figure out the intervals on the x-axis where this graph lies on or above the x-axis to get those y values to be positive, right, or non-negative. So to me, that looks like it's starting at -3 and ending at +3. And this type of problem, it is eyeballing, it's estimating. So if your graph's not exactly like mine, it should look pretty close. It looks like it's about -3 to 3. If yours looks a little bit different, we're just approximating, okay? So that's what I'll do over here with my answer, is maybe I'll even phrase it by inspection, which means what we did is we looked at the graph. By inspection, f of x is greater than or equal to 0 on the interval -3 to 3. I always like to pause for a second before I put any kind of wrapper on that interval, because do you want to include the endpoints or not? That's the -3 and the 3 on the x-axis that we're talking about. Are those part of your answer? Well, yes, in this case, because they wanted f of x to be greater than or equal to 0. And at those two endpoints, we're right on that x-axis. At least it looks like it to me. And so I'll close those ends of the interval. Okay? That's the thought process I'd suggest you use for problems like this, but you got to go do more on your own. Okay?